Hey guys, it's Hink here. So today we're going to be talking about another supplement, okay? This one is called Taurine. You might have heard of it before. It is an amazing supplement, and there's a lot of benefits that we're going to talk about today. Everything from improving erection quality to even improving workouts and preventing, more importantly, fibrosis, especially we're talking about penile fibrosis. So stay tuned and let's discuss it today. So Taurine is a sulfur-containing non-protein amino acid. So what does that mean, guys? It's really not that important. It's one of these actual amino acids that you do actually create it in small amounts in your body, but typically not enough where it is actually beneficial to you. So you can get it from things like, especially actually shellfish, sometimes red meat, and even the dark meat of white meat, like, a thigh, a chicken thigh. All right, guys, so why do we care about taurine at all? Well, it has some really important properties, and we're going to get into the data right now. So first of all, you guys, if you're new to this channel, I talk about the endothelial cells, basically the cells lining your blood vessel, and how important it is for your overall health, and even especially your overall penile health, which we have a focus of men's health on this channel. And so here's a PDF here showing how taurine can help to promote endothelial function. And specifically, in this paper, they looked at endothelial dysfunction in protein malnourished rats. But what they found was that there was beneficial vascular changes as well as an increase in nitric oxide bioavailability. So what that means is actually nitric oxide, what's responsible for you getting a healthy erection, there was essentially an upregulation of that where you had more available for the blood vessels. And that's a main reason why there was the benefit as far as the blood flow and as far as the erection quality in this study. So that's why there was the benefit in blood flow and largely the reversal of that endothelial dysfunction. And guys, if you're not familiar, the goat of endothelial dysfunction reversal is, of course, our Vigor, back in stock, Leviathan subset on Amazon. But let's keep moving. So here's a very interesting paper looking at its actual effects when it comes to sexual response and mating ability. So once again, guys, I love my rat studies, but in this study called Taurine Enhances the Sexual Response and Mating Ability in the Aged Male Rat, what they found is that the effects as far as stimulating the hepatopituitary axis, as far as creating some of the sex hormones, and as well as its benefit as far as nitric oxide pathway, you not only had decreased erection latency, meaning the recovery period after sex was reduced so the rats were able to go back to back to back more often, but you also had the faster recovery of your erection after basically ejaculation. And so, I love my rat studies, but, I feel like an old rat myself. In theory, and quite honestly, guys, I have noticed this, but it does help with back-to-back sessions as well as recovering to go back-to-back. And so I'm able to feel more like I'm, like 18 again. The key to healthy erections is increased blood flow. And so in this study, it showed that through a potassium channel pathway that taurine was able to improve the vascular blood flow, guys. Very important. And so, guys, here's one of the more important papers that we're going to look at. But basically what it looks at was basically they induced diabetes into these rats, these poor rats, man. And they looked at how taurine was able to reverse the damage from diabetes. So, guys, let me just go ahead and on record and say, if you have diabetes and erectile dysfunction from diabetes, you need to be supplementing with taurine. But even if you don't have diabetes, it's still going to be helpful for your erection quality. So, guys, look at these graphs. First, when we're looking at the percentage of relaxation, when you add that taurine, your percentage of relaxation is going to be almost as high as a control or a non-diabetic rat as far as reversing that endothelial dysfunction, guys. And I also thought it was very interesting in this paper, they actually looked at the effects with Cialis or tadalafil, and you can see that basically stacking taurine with tadalafil leads to even better outcomes as far as improved erection function and the relaxation of that vascular muscle. And that's what's demonstrated in this graph here. And of course, it's not quite as good as your control rat, but supplementing it if you do have damage can bring you up closer to that baseline. And guys, arguably, I think that this is the most important section here. All right, guys, we talk about penile fibrosis. And so some of you guys may think I'm an alarmist, some of you don't. But if you are doing clamping and pulling and tugging and pumping, you are causing macro and micro trauma to the blood vessels and to the actual corpora of the penis, which can lead to penile fibrosis. So what is penile fibrosis? It's essentially the replacement of your functioning smooth muscle cells with scar tissue, or with basically non-functioning collagen. And so here's the actual definition in this paper, which I thought was important. But basically they say it's plaques that develop in the tunica that can be caused or induced by ischemia or traumatic events. Ischemia, like clamping, or traumatic events like pumping or tugging or extending or jelqing or whatever you might be doing, you are putting yourself at risk of developing penile fibrosis. And in this paper specifically, they also talk about how there is this proposed a diffuse and progressive and milder intracorporeal fibrosis, which is more so related to the lining of the arteries. That is also what we want to prevent, guys. And so you're saying, oh, Hink, you're just an old alarmist. There's no role of fibrosis in the penis. Well, guys, here's a study looking at actual traction on the nerves in rat penises. I know, these poor rats. But basically, what they said was you can see evidence of nerve damage and fibrosis accrual start to begin with even only 2 minutes of traction. So specifically the apoptosis, or the programmed cell death of the smooth tissue cells, leads to actual fibrosis long term. Fibrosis is a long-term condition, guys. You're not going to like injure your D one day and then wake up with fibrosis. So you need to get ahead of it and you need to prevent it. So can taurine do this? Yes, it can. So here are some papers here. So here's a paper looking at preventing fibrosis in the liver. Here's a randomized study demonstrating the prevention of fibrosis in other organs. And here's a study looking at how the taurine can actually prevent fibrosis in the lung for people that get chemotherapy called bleomycin, which is particularly damaging to the lungs. Some of you guys probably watching this video think COVID-19 is a hoax, whatever. But here's a paper looking at COVID-19 induced pulmonary fibrosis, and it says taurine has been shown to exert antifibrotic effects in a number of rodent models of fibrosis, including the lungs, liver, heart, kidney, pancreas, and penis, guys. Okay, now guys, you don't have to go out and buy my supplement. Obviously, I'm going to talk about dosing the supplement if you want to proceed with another route. That's perfectly fine. But all of the ingredients in that bottle are clinically proven to reduce fibrosis and maximize penile health. So if you're interested, please check it out. I'm going to be releasing a whole video on why I selected each ingredient and every dose that went into it. But guys, you see how much research I do on just one of the ingredients. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at my supplements. And so guys, here's a very important paper here. Now, this was looking at fibrosis that develops as a result of diabetes-induced rats, okay? And it shows that taurine as an antifibrotic drug improves erectile dysfunction by reducing penile fibrosis, endothelial dysfunction, and the production of the extracellular membrane proteins, guys. That's literally exactly what I'm talking about and why you need to add this into your regimen. Many of you have seen my video on N-acetylcysteine. If you haven't, check it out. But that's also a very similar pathway. And of course, it is also in our Safeguard supplement as well. And here's another study here that shows that chronic taurine treatments could prevent the development of cavernosal dysfunction, once again, after diabetes, guys. So they're doing all of these studies on rats, inducing penile dysfunction, and then proving that taurine can prevent and even reverse some of these supplements. That's why it's so important for the health and safety of your penile tissue. Now, here's where tinfoil Hink, comes in and puts on his little tinfoil hat. But guys, this is real data, okay? Now, once again, you might think I'm an alarmist, but guys, there is an impending population crisis that is coming, okay? Here's a study done by the BBC, no pun intended, that shows that fertility rates are dropping dramatically. In the next 50 years, our population curve is no longer going to be going up and up and up. It's actually a bell curve that's going to be flattening out, and then it's going to decrease because fertility rates are decreasing. There's a lot of different reasons for that. I don't have time to go into it today, but this is a medical fact. Fertility rates are dropping. One of the so there's a lot of reasons for this, but there's like chemicals that you're exposed to. It's the foods that we eat, the sedentary lifestyle. But interestingly enough, this article showed that taurine, through its work as far as the luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone, as well as things like the nitric oxide pathway, can actually reverse a lot of those fertility issues when it comes to men, because it can also improve sperm motility. And so here's a paper that I'm going to be putting up here. Here's a graph, and you can see with taurine all of these different studies that they've done, meaning in vitro, in vivo, and as far as like all of these different like lab studies that shows the different mechanisms by which that taurine can do things like improving sexual ability, improving sperm count, improving erectile function, improving sperm motility. And so you can see here in part A, guys, that all of these different pathways and the mechanisms by which taurine works. So I'm not just pulling this crap out of my butt, guys. And in this part B here, it actually talks about the different drugs and the different toxicities and the different things that we're exposed to and how taurine can actually prevent that. I mean, yeah, the other stuff is obviously important. It improves in erection function, preventing fibrosis, but like low key, guys, like just doing things like making sure that you have a healthy hormonal profile maximizing your erection quality and making sure that should you want to have kids, you're going to be fertile, especially with all the toxins that you're exposed to. Taurine is low key, like essential for male functioning. And guys, once again, I don't care if you buy Safeguard, but I mean, I do think that you should at least consider, do your own research, form your own conclusions, but consider something like Taurine. And guys, of course, it also helps to improve workouts, okay? So here's a paper showing here that it improves endurance, it can help with fat metabolism, and even improve strength. And here's another paper here that also shows that in a meta-analysis of all these different papers that there's a clear improvement as far as exercise and endurance. And so I've always said the key to having a bigger PP is losing weight, guys. So Taurine can absolutely help you reach those goals by improving your cardiac output when you're working out. It means more calories burnt. So what is the dosage that I recommend? Well, guys, I specifically formulated my Safeguard with, for this formulation, the appropriate amount, which is about 1,000 milligrams, okay? The range can go sometimes as high as about 6,000 milligrams a day. I personally think that's a lot. And when you go for higher doses, it's associated with more things like nausea, vomiting, GI distress, headaches. You want to be careful. And it can also induce low blood pressure. And so if you're already taking nitric oxide booster like Vigor, you're already taking tadalafil, and then you're blasting like 6 grams of Taurine, it could potentially make you have blood pressure issues. So that's why I recommend the lower end of the most effective range, especially when you're stacking it with the other ingredients that will help prevent fibrosis and help promote endothelial function. So guys, in conclusion, you're going to prevent your fibrosis. You're going to reverse erectile dysfunction. You're going to maximize erectile function. You're going to maximize basically the nitric oxide release from the nerves, especially in the penis, by supplementing with Taurine. You're going to maximize your fertility. You're going to maximize your hormonal profile, and you're going to boost your workouts. So like, why are you not on Taurine right now, guys? But those are just my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching if you made it this far. If you would, please leave a like on this video. Remember, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. And guys, of course, my enlargement course is live right now. It's doing really well. A lot of guys are already messaging that they're seeing results. I've recently published the guy who gained over 1/2 inch in 6 months in length using my course. So check it out. If you're here from an injury, I also have my hard flaccid course, which is available now. If you're recovering from an injury, if you need to reach me, patreon.com/DocCable. And of course, if you want to support Callie, you can click the link on the screen, the QR code, and you can buy a pack of 6K wallpapers, 20 of them for like $5, guys. And it supports Callie, it supports our editor that does great work. So anyways, guys, appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one. Peace and love.